Hey, Boni's Life Farm, your crypto captain, Boni, beaming in with your weekly dose of market madness and hopefully some method to it. Buckle up those seatbelts because the week of May 11th to May 18th, 2025 is shaping up to be less of a gentle cruise and more of a white knuckle theme park ride for the crypto markets. We're talking thrilling highs, potentially stomach churning dips, and you are definitely going to want a guide. That's me, by the way. This week, the universe is serving us a spicy cocktail of crypto specific shenanigans. Think token unlocks that could make prices wobble, network upgrades promising digital nirvana, and maybe even some airdrop fairy dust. Then we've got the global economic data drops that could make your head spin faster than a washing machine in overdrive. Our friends, the central bankers, will be playing their usual game of guess what I'm thinking with their mysterious tunes. And of course, the geopolitical chessboard is always active with moves that can send shockwaves everywhere. To top it all off, it's conference season. So the crypto world is buzzing with events where the next big thing might just be unveiled. So grab your popcorn, your diamond hands, maybe even a stress ball. No judgment here because we are diving deep. We're going to dissect what's coming, what it all means, and how it could impact those precious bags of yours. Let's get this crypto bread, or at least try to understand why it might be a bit more volatile than usual this week. All right, first things first, let's peer into our own backyard, the crypto cauldron itself. What magical or mischievous brews are bubbling up for the week of May 11th to 18th? Okay, team, based on my intel, here are the key crypto native events you need to have on your radar. Bitcoin Asia, May 17th to 18th, Hong Kong. Focus on Bitcoin adoption, ordinals updates, and institutional infrastructure in Asia. ETH Global Lisbon, May 17th to 19th, one of the biggest Ethereum builder hackathons. Expect announcements on Layer 2s, rollups, and decentralized infrastructure. Consensus 2025 Speakers Reveal, mid-May. Expect sneak previews of themes to dominate summer's largest crypto conference. Other notable project milestones, and let's not forget Solana Ecosystem Project Showcase, which is expected around May 15th. This could be a significant validator for their roadmap. We'll watch this space. So, a busy week on the crypto native front. Remember, the impact of these events can vary wildly. A token unlock isn't always a price killer if the project has strong fundamentals. And an upgrade isn't always a price booster if the market is generally bearish. Context is king as always. Now let's zoom out from our cryptoverse and check the global economic weather forecast. Because as much as we like to think crypto exists in its own dimension, the big bad world economy has a nasty habit of poking its nose in and shaking things up. And this week, May 11th to 18th, is packed with economic data releases that could make traditional markets, and by extension, crypto, do the cha-cha. Here's what I'm watching. The big one, US CPI, Consumer Price Index, Tuesday, May 13th. All right, folks, circle Tuesday, May 13th, in bright red on your calendars. The US Consumer Price Index data drops, and this is a biggie. Is inflation finally chilling out and heading back to its cave? Or is it still that uninvited party guest who just won't leave and keeps eating all the dip? This number is a major influencer on what the Federal Reserve might do with interest rates. A higher than expected CPI could mean the Fed stays hawkish, keeping rates higher for longer, which typically isn't great for risk assets like crypto. A lower, cooler CPI that could spark some optimism for rate cuts down the line, and markets might just throw a little party. Or it could be a sell the news event. Who knows? The anticipation itself will be a ride. Germany's inflation check-in, HICP, Wednesday, May 14th. Midweek, on Wednesday, May 14th, Germany releases its harmonized index of consumer prices. As the Eurozone's largest economy, Germany's inflation figures are a key indicator for the European Central Bank. If inflation is proving sticky there too, it adds to the global inflation narrative. Economic data bonanza, Thursday, May 15th. Thursday is like an economic data Olympics. We've got Australia employment numbers. A strong labor market is good, right? Well, it can also mean the central bank feels it has more room to keep rates tight. United Kingdom GDP figures. How's the British economy holding up? This will give us a snapshot. Eurozone. More GDP data. A broader look at the Eurozone's economic health. United States Producer Price Index, PPI. This is like CPI's cousin, measuring inflation from the producer side. And US retail sales, are people still shopping till they drop? Or are they tightening their belts? Both are important clues for the Fed. Japan GDP data. How's the land of the rising sun's economy faring? Phew, that's a lot to digest. Each of these releases from major economies can cause ripples, especially in forex markets, which can then spill over into crypto if there are big surprises. Wrapping up the week ends at inflation expectations and US consumer sentiment, Friday, May 16th. On Friday, we get a peek into New Zealand's inflation expectations and the preliminary US University of Michigan consumer sentiment. How are folks feeling about the economy? If consumers are confident, they might spend more. If they're gloomy, they might save. This sentiment can be a self-fulfilling prophecy sometimes. So, why should a dedicated crypto degen like yourself care about all this traditional finance mumbo-jumbo? Well, think of it this way. If the global economy is looking shaky, or if inflation is rampant and central banks are hiking rates, big investors tend to pull money out of what they see as riskier assets. And yes, for many of them, that still includes our beloved crypto. Conversely, signs of economic stability or potential easing from central banks can make investors feel a bit more adventurous. It's all connected like one giant, confusing financial spider web. Speaking of those all-powerful central bankers, let's put on our detective hats and try to decipher their cryptic messages for the week. What are the puppet masters at the Federal Reserve, ECB, Bank of England, and Bank of Japan up to? The lingering echoes of the Fed, FOMC meeting May 6th and 7th. Now, the big FOMC meeting and press conference happened just before our week kicks off, on May 6th and 7th, but trust me, the market will still be chewing over every word, every comma, every raised eyebrow from Jerome Powell. Was he hawkish, dovish, hawkish with a dovish feather? The interpretations and reinterpretations will likely continue to cause ripples this week. Any hints about future rate cuts or a continued higher for longer stance will be critical. Any scheduled appearances this week, May 11th to 18th. Looking at the calendar for this week, are any of the big central bank bosses scheduled for speeches or fireside chats? Sometimes an off-the-cuff remark at a minor event can send markets into a tizzy. We'll need to keep an eye on the official calendars of the Fed, ECB, BOE, and BOJ. For now, it seems relatively quiet on the major scheduled decision front for this specific week, but that doesn't mean they won't be talking. For example, the ECB and BOE don't have their main monetary policy meetings this week, but there could always be unscheduled announcements or speeches from officials reacting to the economic data we just talked about, like that German CPI or UK GDP. The Bank of Japan has a more frequent meeting schedule, so it's always worth double-checking if they have anything on the docket. Their stance on yield curve control and any hints about moving away from their ultra-loose policy are globally significant. The overall vibe, hawkish or dovish. Ultimately, what we're trying to gauge is the overall vibe. Are central banks globally still in full-on inflation-fighting mode? Hawkish, meaning potentially more interest rate hikes or rates staying high. Or are they starting to get worried about economic growth and hinting at easing up or even cutting rates? Dovish. This sentiment is a massive driver for crypto. A hawkish environment tends to make borrowing more expensive and can dampen enthusiasm for risk assets. A dovish tilt can be like a green light for investors to take on more risk. It's a high-stakes poker game, and these central bankers have the ultimate poker faces, but will be watching their every move and trying to read the tells. All right, if economic data and central bank speak weren't enough, let's throw in some good old-fashioned geopolitical drama. Because the world stage is rarely quiet, and these events can have very real consequences for markets, including crypto. For the week of May 11th to 18th, here are some geopolitical hotspots and events to keep on your radar. US-China trade talks. The saga continues around May 10th to 11th. The spotlight is on Geneva, where US-China trade talks were expected to reach a critical point around May 10th to 11th, right as our week begins, with hefty tariffs already in place on both sides. We're talking 145% from the US on some Chinese goods and 125% from China on some US goods. These negotiations are a really big deal. The S&P 500 even took an 8% hit from its February peak, partly due to these tensions. Did they manage a breakthrough, even a small one like reducing some tariffs? Or are we digging in for a prolonged trade war? A lack of agreement could mean more inflation, supply chain headaches, and nervous markets. This is a major one for global risk sentiment. Elections on the horizon, around May 11th. We've also got parliamentary elections in Albania and a general election in the Philippines happening around May 11th. Now, you might think, Boni, what's that got to do with my Bitcoin? Well, while they might seem like localized events, any unexpected outcomes, especially in strategically important regions, can lead to instability or policy shifts that have ripple effects. For example, an upset in Albania could affect Balkan stability, and issues in the Philippines could impact foreign investment and regional dynamics. Middle East tensions, Nakba Day, May 15th. On Wednesday, May 15th, it's Nakba Day. Historically, this day can see heightened tensions and protests in the Middle East. Any escalation of conflict in this region is a serious concern, not just for humanitarian reasons, but also for global markets, particularly oil prices. A spike in oil can fuel inflation, which brings us back to those worried central bankers. So, how does all this global political maneuvering affect crypto? Generally, heightened geopolitical uncertainty makes investors skittish. They might pull back from riskier assets and seek safe havens. Now, the debate rages. Is Bitcoin a risk asset, or is it digital gold, a safe haven in itself? The market often seems undecided. Sometimes global instability sees a flight to the US dollar, which can be a headwind for Bitcoin. Other times, if faith in traditional systems is shaken, some investors look to alternatives like crypto. It's a complex dance, and these geopolitical undercurrents add another layer of unpredictability. Okay, let's bring it back home to the crypto community itself. This week, it looks like all roads lead to Toronto. Canada is hosting a flurry of crypto events, and you know what that means. Announcements, networking, and a whole lot of buzz. Get your maple syrup ready, because Toronto is the crypto hotspot from May 11th to 18th. Canada Crypto Week, May 11th to 17th. Kicking things off is Canada Crypto Week, a week-long convention that's bound to bring together some of the brightest minds in the industry. Blockchain Futurist Conference Toronto, May 13th. Then on Tuesday, May 13th, we have the Blockchain Futurist Conference. Expect talks on Web3, the latest in crypto tech, and maybe even some mining insights. ETH Women, May 13th. Also on Tuesday, ETH Women will be shining a spotlight on the incredible women building and innovating in the Ethereum ecosystem and the broader crypto space. This is fantastic to see. Consensus Toronto, May 14th to 16th. And then the one many will be watching closely. Consensus, hosted by CoinDesk, rolls into Toronto from Wednesday, May 14th to Friday, May 16th. Consensus events are legendary for being major hubs of activity. We're talking high-profile speakers, potential blockbuster announcements, and deep dives into everything from DeFi and NFTs to regulation and institutional adoption. So, what should we be listening out for from these events? Juicy announcements, new partnerships, groundbreaking product launches, mainnet upgrades going live. Conferences are prime time for projects to show off what they've been working on. Alpha drops and insights. Industry leaders, founders, and top developers will be speaking. Their insights into market trends, new technologies, or even their philosophical takes on where crypto is heading can be incredibly valuable, and sometimes move markets. Regulatory chatter. With regulators often participating in these big events, any discussions or hints about upcoming crypto regulations in Canada or globally will be dissected word by word. I'll be keeping my virtual ear to the ground, trying to catch any of that sweet, sweet alpha that might drop. Who knows, the next 100x gem could be casually mentioned over a plate of poutine and a double-double. If any of you are attending, drop a comment and let us know what you're most excited about. All right, you've heard all the ingredients going into this week's market soup. So, the million-dollar question: what does Boni's slightly cloudy but trying its best crystal ball say about the potential market impact for May 11th to 18th? First off, let's be clear. This is not financial advice. My crystal ball's warranty expired last Tuesday, and it's been known to show me a picture of a cat playing a keyboard instead of actual market predictions. But based on the lineup of events, here's what we could be looking at. Volatility is likely the word of the week. With that US CPI data on Tuesday, the ongoing US-China trade talks, and a host of other economic releases and crypto events, expect some choppiness. Markets don't like uncertainty, and there's a fair bit of that on the menu. Specific assets mentioned in token unlocks or major upgrades will likely see localized volatility too. Key pivot points at Tuesday's US CPI. This is probably the biggest macro event of the week. A significantly hotter than expected number could spook markets and send risk assets, including crypto, tumbling. A cooler number could provide some relief and a potential bounce. US-China trade news. Any concrete news, good or bad, from those Geneva talks could set the tone for global markets early in the week. Consensus Toronto announcements midweek. If a truly groundbreaking announcement comes out of Consensus, it could inject a lot of excitement or FUD, depending on the news, into the crypto space specifically. Narrative watch. Will any of these events supercharge existing narratives? For example, if a major AI crypto partnership is announced at Consensus, that narrative could get another boost. Or will a new, unexpected narrative emerge from the conference buzz? Always fascinating to watch. Potential scenarios. Emphasis on potential. The sunshine and rainbows. Scenario, imagine this. US CPI comes in cooler than expected. The US and China announce a surprise mini-truce on tariffs, and a couple of massive positive announcements drop at Consensus Toronto. In this dream world, we could see a very green week for crypto with renewed optimism. The grab your helmet scenario. Conversely, if CPI is stubbornly high, trade talks implode, and a major crypto project suffers a setback during an upgrade, well, let's just say you might want to have your ramen noodle supply well stocked and maybe avoid looking at your portfolio for a bit. The May sideways chop scenario. It's also entirely possible that the news is mixed, with no single event being strong enough to break the market decisively in one direction. In that case, we could see a lot of sideways price action and chop, which can be frustrating for traders. A word on reliability and certainty. Now, it's crucial to remember, folks, that the crypto market can be as predictable as a toddler on a sugar rush. Scheduled events are one thing, but unexpected news, a hack, a surprise regulatory crackdown, Elon tweeting a picture of his dog wearing a Bitcoin hat, can throw everything for a loop. The certainty of any prediction in this space is, let's be honest, pretty low. So treat these as signposts, not gospel. Always, always, always do your own research and manage your risk. My best guess, we're in for an interesting, probably volatile week. Stay nimble. Don't FOMO into pumps without understanding why they're happening, and be prepared for a few twists and turns. Phew. And there you have it, a whirlwind tour of the crypto market landscape for the week of May 11th to May 18th, 2025. It's a complex maze out there with economic data, central bank whispers, geopolitical chess, and pure crypto catalysts all playing their part. Hopefully, this deep dive has given you a bit of a map and a compass to navigate it all. Key takeaways to jot down. 1. US CPI on Tuesday, May 13th, probably the most significant macro event to watch. 2. US-China trade talk. Fallout news from Geneva could set an early tone. 3rd, Toronto crypto conferences, especially Consensus, May 14th to 16th. Keep an eye out for major announcements and sentiment shifts coming from there. 4. Stay alert. And the market is dynamic. This is a snapshot, so keep learning and do your own research. Now, I want to hear from you. What are your predictions for the week? Which events are you watching most closely? Are you bullish, bearish, or just plain confused? Drop your thoughts, your insights, your hottest takes in the comments below. Let's navigate this crypto roller coaster together as the Boni's Live community. And hey, if you found this breakdown helpful, or if you just enjoy my questionable attempts at humor while delivering hardcore alpha or at least alpha adjacent information, then you know what to do. Smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and ding that notification bell so you don't miss our future deep dives, market updates, and crypto adventures. That's all for this week's market preview. Stay safe out there, stay informed, protect your crypto, and may your trades be ever in your favor. This is Boni from Boni's Life signing off. Catch you in the next one. Bye for now.